The Little Christmas Tree. It was Christmas Eve. Tom was lying on his bed reading a comic when he heard a crash, followed by someone shouting, "Ouch!" in a very loud voice. "Hurry up, Tom!" called his dad up the stairs. "I need help with something." What on earth was he doing? Tom jumped off his bed and raced downstairs to go and see. There, wedged in the doorway, was a giant Christmas tree with two legs sticking out from underneath it. "I seem to be a bit stuck," said Dad's voice. "Can you get Mum?" Tom soon returned with his mum. "It's kind of, big," she said, trying not to giggle. She and Tom took hold of one end of the tree. 1, 2, 3. Push! For a brief moment the tree stuck fast, then whoosh! It slid through the open doorway and landed on the hallway floor along with Dad. Oof! "What do you think?" asked Dad, standing the giant tree upright against the wall. Isn't it magnificent?" "It's enormous!" laughed Tom. "Where are we going to put it?" "Where we always put the Christmas tree," replied Dad. "In the kitchen, of course." "Oh," said Tom, looking puzzled. "But what about the little Christmas tree in the attic? We always put that up in the kitchen." "Not anymore. We're having a real tree this year," said Dad. "Just smell that fresh pine." "It is time we got rid of that shabby little tree," agreed Mum. "Some of the parts were missing last year." Tom's face fell. "But I don't want a big tree," he protested. "I want our little old tree. We always put it up on Christmas Eve." "Sorry, Tom," said Dad, looking uncomfortable. "I put it outside by the back door for the dustman. It's probably in the back of a rubbish van by now." Tom rushed round to the back door, his heart pounding. He couldn't stand the thought of the little tree sitting in a rubbish van full of smelly, rotten food. Thank goodness. The tattered old box containing the Christmas tree was still there, looking very sad. "Can't we keep it?" Tom begged his parents. "Please." "I could put it in my bedroom," he suggested. Mum smiled. "Oh, all right," she laughed. Tom carried the box up the stairs to his room. He got to work putting together the old Christmas tree. It took ages, especially since there were so many parts missing. But when he was finished, the little tree really didn't look so bad. Of course, it didn't have all its branches, but if you turned it around, you couldn't tell. Well, not from the front anyway. "All we need now are decorations," he told the little tree. "Then you'll look great." "May I have some Christmas decorations for my tree?" asked Tom that lunchtime. "Of course," replied his dad. "Let's see what's left over when we've decorated the big tree. I thought we could do it this afternoon." "Fantastic!" cried Tom. Now that the little tree was safe in his room, he felt excited about having a tree that almost touched the roof. Dad and Tom cleared the table while his mum got the Christmas decorations out of the cupboard. "I hope there will be enough for both trees," said Mum, peering inside the box. Our old tree was much smaller. But Tom wasn't listening. He was already rummaging through the box of glittering decorations, searching for his favourites. "These long glass icicles will look fantastic on the big tree," he cried, dangling them in the light. It was almost dinner time when the giant tree was finally finished. Tom and his parents stood back to admire their work. "Magnificent," said Dad. "Wonderful," said Mum. "Super," added Tom. "May I have the rest of the decorations?" He scooped up the box, ready to take it upstairs. "Oh," he exclaimed in disappointment. "It's empty." "Sorry, Tom," said Dad. "We seem to have used all the decorations on the big tree. We might just have enough time to buy some more before the shops close." Just then a horn honked outside in the driveway. That must be Grandma and Grandpa, said Mum, cleverly changing the subject. Why don't you go out and see, Tom? Tom loved it when his grandparents came to stay. They were always full of good ideas for things to do, and they never got angry. Grandma, Grandpa, cried Tom, waving at their red car. Come and see our enormous Christmas tree. It's amazing. Grandma and Grandpa bustled in through the front door, carrying armfuls of brightly wrapped Christmas presents. Is the tree in the kitchen again? Asked Grandma. Just let me put these presents under it, Tom. Then I can take a proper look. Grandma added her packages to the large stack already under the tree and stood up. Goodness, she chuckled, putting on her glasses to inspect the giant fir more closely. It really is a whopper. She turned to Tom. What happened to the sweet little tree you usually have? In the excitement of his grandparents' arrival, Tom had forgotten all about the little tree. Oh, he cried, it is up in my bedroom. I was going to decorate it this afternoon, but there weren't enough decorations for both trees, and now all the shops will be closed. A cloud came over Tom's face. How could he have forgotten about the little tree? Now it wouldn't be decorated for Christmas Day. Don't worry, said Grandpa, putting his arm around Tom's shoulder. I just happen to know how to make terrific Christmas tree decorations out of nothing but tinfoil, glue, and some glitter. You're the best, Grandpa, replied a happy and very relieved Tom. Later that evening, Tom and his grandpa sat down at the kitchen table. Grandpa crumpled up pieces of tinfoil into balls, and Tom painted them with glue and sprinkled glitter on them. Those will look wonderful on your little tree, said Grandpa admiringly. Really sparkly. Have you looked out of the window, Tom? Tom pulled back the curtains and grinned. Look, Grandpa, he cried excitedly. It's snowing. Heavy flakes were falling thick and fast through the night sky, covering the ground in a white blanket. Well, I never, whistled Grandpa. Looks like we're going to have a white Christmas this year. It will freeze tonight too, if I'm not mistaken. Poor birds. What do you mean, poor birds? Asked Tom. Don't they like the snow? I love it. It's not so much the snow, explained Grandpa. It's when the ground and water freezes. Then there's very little food or water around. It makes life very hard for the birds, you know. Oh, said Tom, looking concerned. I never really thought of that. Can't we give them something to eat and drink? Of course, replied Grandpa. That's why people have bird feeders in their gardens. They put out fresh food and water every morning. We don't have a bird feeder, said Tom. I know, he cried. Let's use my little tree instead. We can decorate it with bits of food and put it in the garden. It can be our Christmas present to the birds. Great idea, Tom, cried Grandpa. We'd better get started straight away if it's going to be ready for the morning. When Mum, Dad and Grandma heard Tom's plan, they thought it was a wonderful idea. I'll make some mesh bags to hang on the branches, offered Grandma. You can fill them with some nuts and pieces of coconut. What about these scraps of bacon rind and fat, suggested Mum. The birds love them, and cheese too. Soon Tom had a host of goodies, bless you, to hang on his special tree.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't forget to hang our sparkly foil decorations on it too, reminded Grandpa. Then it will look really festive. Grandma helped Tom wrap some silver paper around the battered old pot and tie a large bow on the front. Then the whole family decorated the branches with nut bags, foil balls, bacon rinds, and all the other goodies. I don't think there's room for even one more thing, laughed Tom, as he hung the last nut bag on the tree. Tom and his grandparents watched from the bedroom window as his dad carefully carried the little tree into the garden and placed it in the middle of the white snow-covered lawn. Everyone else might think it's a shabby old tree, yawned Tom as he climbed into bed. But I think it looks great. I hope the birds like it too. They'll love it, whispered Grandma, leaning over to give him a hug. But Tom didn't hear. He was already fast asleep. The next morning was Christmas Day. Whoopee! yelled Tom, leaping out of bed and racing down the stairs 2 steps at a time. Merry Christmas, everyone! Did Santa come? Of course, laughed his parents. Your presents are under the Christmas tree. At the mention of Christmas trees, Tom suddenly remembered his present for the birds. He ran to the window and looked out into the garden. Wow, he shouted, opening the window. Come and see, everyone. There in the middle of the lawn stood the little Christmas tree. No one could describe it as shabby today. Its frosted boughs twinkled in the morning light. Never in all its days as a Christmas tree had it looked so lovely or so busy. It was surrounded by twittering birds all fighting over the food. I think they like their Christmas present, laughed Grandpa. All the food will be gone before the day is out. You'll have to load up the branches again. Oh, yes, cried Tom. But it's not just for Christmas. The birds will need to be fed every day until the warmer weather comes, and that way we have to keep our little tree fantastic.